let's assume at this point in the presentation, when we're handling an objection like this, that you're sitting in front of someone who's motivated. So that I want you guys to get all this activity so that it doesn't matter. You don't have to do $1.5 million, $2 million a year. Forget that. You said you wanted to list it for 700,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And
the most money possible.
Of course, yeah. And we're gonna talk about that. I just want to get like a gauge and like just make sure that we're on the same page about like what you had mentioned to me, so that I can go over the pricing with you a little bit later, so that we're completely on the same page about this. Okay. Obviously, you guys, virtual is a little bit different than being in person, but I see you guys here on virtual, and you're making me realize that, as an example, Bobby Johnson, bro, you went from 125 GCI to what was it? What are you closing out the year after that this year?
479 or something like that. Yeah.
Dude, and not even, you came on board officially in February. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's massive growth.
Yeah.
That's like crypto returns. That's crazy. Okay, that's massive. That's parabolic, in my opinion. But the point is that like I bring you up and I say that because you just got this momentum. And frankly, Bobby, you came into our office how many times? Actually, Teddy, I'm now realizing my answer. Bobby, you came into the office maybe a couple times in the year, but we had a lot of conversations over the phone. We've had a lot of virtual meetings like this. We've done this, and you are the one. You're my example, basically, to show that I can do this with you guys virtually. Then it needs to be physical, and I'm gonna bring back events in a big way, like locally, potentially up and down the East Coast, maybe Texas, Lincoln. I don't know, but we'll see. At some point, we'll get to the West Coast at some point. But the whole point is that if I can help Bobby go from 125 GCI to 470 or 480, whatever the number he said, in 9 months, maybe. I was questioning myself. You guys think that like I don't question myself. I do this like every week. Okay, like what am I like not doing? What am I not giving? What can I give more? What should I be doing? So this is like all stuff that I know you guys go through. I've been there. We all are there. I mean, I don't have all the answers, but what I do have, clearly we have a system because it produces a certain value, dollar revenue per year. And so that's what you're talking about, Bobby, is that like plug into like all the time I've spent doing this and what Teddy and I have built here, so that I want you guys to get all this activity so that it doesn't matter. You don't have to do $1.5 million, $2 million a year. Forget that. Frankly, I haven't never made $2 million a year. It gets me excited long term, but not just in sales. I had a certain goal in sales I wanted to make. Then I wanted my investments to make me $2 million a year. That's a whole different conversation. Just from a sales perspective, this is the best vehicle you can be in. There's no better time. So many agents are leaving the business that I've been seeing, and so many agents are trying to get in. They're not really sure what to do. Like Mazar is back from a long hiatus, back from his home country, right? And now you're back in the seat, Mazar, and now you're here. And you're like, I saw your YouTube video, Dean. I want to get cracking. Let's just go. And this is what we're designed to do. So what I'm going to do right now, Justine, is I'm going to share my screen so you can actually get a sense of what I'm looking at right here in terms of all the numbers that we have. So as you can see here, there's really two different markets that I really wanted to drive home for you guys. And it's all about determining value. So Justine, let me ask you this question. How do you feel like buyers are determining value today?
I guess they're seeing the comps and things selling and what things are listed for and all of that. And just kind of going based on that. I really don't know.
Yeah, well, comparables, right? They're actually going through comparison shopping. They're looking at, what was sold in the past, what's currently being, what's currently pending right now. And then of course it's going to be what's active on the market. Like, so what are my available options, right? So it's simple supply and demand. And this is a really good indication.
I mean, this is obviously like a little bit of different style with like, looks like they're stairs. So based on comparable, like as far as what I'm seeing with condition as far as condition is concerned.
So the amenities look comparable, number of bedrooms, the square footage, the updates. So it seems like it's fair to say that the condition is somewhat similar to what you have there, right? And so look at the listing price we have here. Now, how do you feel about this number here, 889?
I mean, that's amazing.
Right? It's a lot better than what we're talking about with 750, right? Right.
Yeah.
So the good news is these are the conversations I actually do enjoy having, where we can actually look at the market and say, okay, this is what's currently on the market. So you can see this is a competition. If you come in anything under them, if we're comparing apples to apples, is it fair to say that we'll probably get an offer, relatively quickly, based on what we're seeing here, right? What's available.
if we can't agree on some of the terms here, then, you know, we can both walk away free, and then and then I may not take the listing. Is that fair?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, awesome. So just to confirm, I know you said you had a couple offers on there. So is there any offers that you have right now that are getting close to acceptance?
I mean, really, no. Like I said, we had, you know, a couple of investors come through, and I'm pretty like firm on our price, especially, you know, given that it hasn't been listed for all that long and we don't have to sell, but we would like to because we're on the West Coast and it's just becoming a little bit too much to manage. So no, we're just kind of sitting on them. We don't have any interest in accepting any of them at this point.
Okay, got it. So it sounds like they're like on kind of like on the lower side of the equation of like the
Yeah,
scale.
we got like a 915 and like a 905 and then something that started with an 8, which are not even going to entertain at all.
Okay, yeah, that wouldn't make any sense. I mean, when we sold 302, that one needed a ton of work.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. I mean, and I think that's what our initial conversation was. Your decision to decide to sell, right, was coming from a place of knowing that things were moving relatively quickly and inventory was still on the lower side. So what I did here for you is I pulled some of the actives, the available units on the market, and I did filter through to make sure that these were all of the doormen building that have similar amenities to yours. So we're not looking at, you know, we want to make sure that we're looking at things of like kind to what you have here. So one thing I really wanted to highlight here, and do you know this building here at the Oakman at 161st Street?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know that.
Okay, so there's a number of units available in this building on the market presently, and here you'll see this is the approximate square footage. So they're a little bit less than you are there, but same 2-bed, 1-bath. And what do you think of this price here?
I mean,
so
I guess it seems a little bit low compared to like it being a newer building, I guess. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, and I mean, but given the location, right, we're not seeing views and things like that. So that's where, you know, certainly newer building, slightly smaller square footage, but doesn't have some of the same kind of amenities that you do there. And then here would be, so Grand Street doesn't actually have a doorman, so we'll just pretend like that one's not there. But really here we're between $898 and $1,080,000, right? And are you familiar with this building?
Yeah. I think that's like not too far away. So just remind me, I know we spoke about on the phone, Segundo, that, you know, you wanted to obviously get this done because you didn't want to manage it like you just said, right? That was the ultimate goal, right? To get this sold. You said you wanted to list it for $700,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You know,
and
the most money possible.
Of course, yeah. And we're going to talk about that. I just want to get like a gauge and like just make sure that we're on the same page about like what you had mentioned to me so that I can go over the pricing with you a little bit later so that we're completely on the same page about this, okay? And then you said you did owe about $350,000, is that correct?
About right.
Okay, cool. And you weren't thinking about selling this on your own, right?
Yeah, I thought about it, but I just wanted someone that can handle it for me.
Right. Okay. Right. Because obviously we're doing the Zoom. So clearly, you know, this is something where you're obviously not here, boots on the ground. So you're looking for a full service team to obviously handle the sale for you, correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. All right. Awesome. And you did mention that when you do sell this property, that it was something that you had another opportunity that you wanted to invest the money in, right?
Yes.
Okay. And from what I remember, this was in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, it is in Atlanta. Yes.
Okay, awesome. So Segundo, that being said, did you already have an agent you're working with to purchase that next property, or would you like a recommendation?
I would like a recommendation, yeah.
Okay, great. So after this session, if we decide to work together, I'll definitely connect you with one of our partner agents down there in Atlanta so that you can, you know, obviously have a conversation with them and just feel that it's obviously either a good fit or not a good fit, all right? Let's assume at this point in the presentation, when we're handling an objection like this, that you're sitting in front of someone who's motivated, that actually wants to sell. Because a lot of times if I get objections at this point in my career, it's usually because you actually don't have a really deep interest to sell, and renting's a better option, or you're thinking about something else, or the timeline's like weird, you know what I mean? So they think they have time in the moment, but if you notice, when you're motivated clients, like they just like, yeah, whatever you want. Like it doesn't, I got 6% listings in the last 2 weeks. I haven't gotten that in months because they were ready to sell.
And that's the key, was they're ready to sell. It was not it was not much.
Does this objection usually come up for people like last during the presentation? That's from what I understand it. Like this commission thing is like you can go through the whole thing and then it'll be like the last thing that they kind of object to before you can get them to sign off.
Yeah, I would do it similar to Carrie's. I would just say, like, hey, Dean, could I share with you why that should concern you or why that may concern you? And if you're like, yeah, I would just say, if the agent's not willing to negotiate or stand firm on their commission, how hard do you think they're going to work for you and negotiate if we get an offer in and we have to try and get a better price or they have to negotiate the terms? How strong do you think they're going to be if they're not? Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
That's one I struggle with too.
That's great. And actually, it's funny. My coach, Steve Powers, has actually said that, he calls it, I asked him that question, like, how many times do we keep on handling the same objection if they keep asking the same thing?
That's the only problem with the dialer. That is, if you can't control your focus on the dialer, when you hear nothing for like a minute, you're like, what's going on? You instantly are like, what am I going to do? I'm telling you, there's nothing freeing than being focused when no one's picking up the call. If you can just get there, just as long as you can, to stay on the computer screen and watch it go and go and go. When they pick up, you're ready to go, ready to go. You have to keep that for as long as you possibly can. But that takes time and experience, Danny. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like a thing, expecting an answer, like I said, and afraid to ask a question. When are you open to interviewing agents? And I just won't ask it. So I think it's getting comfortable asking uncomfortable questions and all that.
And the other thing I wanted to discuss, and thank you, Danny, because that leads me to quality. So that's the second thing today. And again, it's something I got from my call today with him, which was around the quality of the conversation, how you approach it, everything. One thing he said to me, which I shared with Rich as well this morning, which was that he had a client that called him that said, I'm going to work with you. And he's like, why? Because he had a conversation with this guy maybe a couple times in the past, but he said, can you just come over and present to me? Just get I want you to come over and do a presentation. And Patrick said, well, no, I don't even know what I'm presenting to. What am I saying to you? I mean, I can talk about myself all day about what I sell, all this other stuff and the process and all that stuff, but you have to talk to your accountant first based on our last conversation. You see what I'm saying? He knew how to qualify what the next step was for that client. And just because of that answer, he got that listing for $2 million. Let's take it as an example, right? John, do you get, when you get a text, let's say, from someone, let's say you don't know, or a past client or something like that, right? Do you get wow, they reached out to me on their own accord. It was from them personally.
No, actually, absolutely, man. I mean, like we said today, we had a conversation about me reaching out to my past clients that I haven't seen in a long time, and when we reach back, it's a great thing just to reestablish that relationship again with these guys, So yeah, absolutely.
Don't you think that the impact is not just that one topic that you're talking about, but actually, Danny, I think this actually kind of goes perfect. What happened to us earlier today? Danny had a referral from somebody, one of his contractor buddies, and Danny went on the appointment on Saturday or Sunday or whatever, a couple days ago. Danny went on the appointment, and then he found out, while he was there, that the seller's motivation was because they're pre-foreclosure and potentially getting foreclosed on. So, they didn't really know how to handle it at that point in time. And plus he had a different hat on. He was, thinking about more for the investment side and can that person, buy it and, do value add, so on and so forth. But long story short is, creating impact doesn't necessarily have to be and listening to what somebody says and redirecting them or moving it over. Also can just go back by listening and providing the value, providing what the pain point is, providing that particular person. So basically, you're moving mountains.